Good afternoon. My name is Paul Ngotho. I am an arbitrator. I am giving this tribute on behalf of Dr. Kariokor. He is the chairman of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, Kenya branch. I also represent the Center for Alternative Dispute Resolution, CADR. Mr. Mururu was a member of both organizations. Mr. Mururu was a pioneer arbitrator in Kenya. He taught and mentored many arbitrators. He also carried out many arbitrations. Eventually, he became the face of arbitration in Kenya. There is no other profession in this country where a single person has become its very embodiment. Norman achieved this feat quite effortlessly by being a servant leader long before the phrase servant leadership became vogue. He was a very organized person, and this showed in his arbitration, in teaching, and in his personal life. He was as methodical as a Methodist. He exercised his power as arbitrator with great humility. He even carried himself with the dignity of a judge. This made it very easy for all of us to respect him. His pet name was the Guru of Arbitration, and that pet name was well deserved. The one thing arbitrators in Kenya will always remember him for is mentorship. He encouraged us and held us by the hand when necessary. He touched many lives through this. For me personally, he gave me for good many arbitration books and journals whenever I visited his office. Indeed, if I were to suggest a second and biblical name for Mr. Mururu, that would be Barnabas, which means son of encouragement or the encourager. Incidentally, Barnabas was a nickname of a man called Joseph. You can read that for yourselves in Acts chapter 4, verse 36. Mururu was known and respected in arbitration fraternity, even abroad. When I travel abroad on arbitration matters and people learn I come from Kenya, they ask me if I know Mr. Mururu. When I say yes, some welcome me, and others give me a brotherly hug. The name Mururu was and is a passport. As Chinua Achebe says in Things Fall Apart, if a child washed his hands, he could eat with kings. This child of Antuamakia village has dined with kings and secured for himself an honored place in the history of arbitration in Africa. The running theme in his life was conquering new frontiers. He has now gone to the very final frontier. We know very little about that place, except that the gatekeeper is a man called Peter, who holds a very big book. He might have acquired a laptop by now, maybe an iPad. He also has a very big key. People who know Peter's boss are welcomed with a smile, while those who do not are sent to a hot, dry place downstairs. Is there arbitration in heaven? Mr. Mururu wore 3 hats professionally. He was a quantity surveyor, an advocate, and an arbitrator. We are told that Jesus is preparing houses for us in heaven. Having created the whole universe without a QS, he is unlikely to need one now. As for advocate, the Law Society of Heaven has only one advocate licensed to practice law there. That is Jesus Christ. According to 1 John chapter 2, verse 1, if any man sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ the righteous. Our dear Norman and all of us, when we get there, we will not be advocates, we will all be clients. As for arbitration, I suggest that the situation is a little different. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 2, do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world? That is in King James Version. It sounds like believers will use arbitration skills in heaven. Of course, you have to be there in heaven in the first place to exercise your arbitration skills there. I'm now concluding. In my mother tongue, Mururu means bitter. As we join Edith, Makena, Inga, Mombi, Mwari, Kathure, and the wider Mururu family in mourning Norman, we also encourage you to face tomorrow without bitterness, because Mururu was a man without bitterness. Finally, let us all endeavor to do our very best in whatever we do. This is the only way we can leave a legacy in our chosen fields, like Mururu did in arbitration.